Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our presentation regarding seamless evolution transition from SXA to Headless SXA. I'm Sreesh Maroli. I'm working as a manager for CMS development in Telebox Sealing Solutions. And I have 10 years of experience in Sitecore. And this is...
Yeah, hi, myself Nadeem. I am also having more than 10 plus years of experience with Sitecore, and I'm a senior Sitecore developer at Trailbog.
Yep. Today we'll going. This is the agenda for our presentation. First, we have the introduction. Then our motivations for the transition from SXA to Headless SXA. The challenges and consideration we had when we were developing the POC and trying it out to migrate, and the roadmap for migration. And we'll also do a small demo on the migration process. We'll be running some PowerShell scripts and showing you how we have done the migration. And then in the end, we have the Q&A. So Telebox, most of you might not be knowing about Telebox or Telebox Sealing Solutions. It's a manufacturing company, but our website is developed in Sitecore, and we are present in 40 countries, and we have over 100 manufacturing facilities. And our main area of expertise is sealing, damping, and protecting critical applications in demanding environments. And our products you can see in multiple industries like automotive, aerospace, healthcare. Most of the day-to-day, maybe you must have come across seals or our products in some of the appliances which we are using day-to-day. To explain about the Sitecore landscape in Telebox, Nadeem will do this.
Yeah, hi. Our website provides more than 25 different languages, and these significant features provide us to follow a diverse global audience, and also breaking the language barrier and making the content accessible from the various linguistic background of the people. Also, we have a team, more than 30 people of the editors across the globe, and that will cover most of the range and the topics and the perspective, and also ensure the content should be the relevant for the different region and the different audience for our website. Our web ecosystem is more than 20,000 pages that should be included our site, also microsites, and that also include a large volume of content. That one is a very big problem while we are taking as a migration. Also, we have more than 30 plus SXA predefined component. That means we have already pre-built element that can enhance our website and improve the efficiency and consistency across our web ecosystems. Yeah, so we have a Sitecore with SXA, one tenant, and we have at least we have one instance with more than 9 subsites. Also, we have 4 microsites that include all those 20,000 pages, and 30 editors, more than 30 editors across the globe are using our websites. What motivates us to do this, all the tasks and do all those transitions? So first of all, the existing UI architecture, what we have, some limitation, but revamping it can enhance our experience and improve the performance and align us to a modern and design principles. Also, the fresh UI design can attract the more users, also give us the best engagement plan. Also, we have the more good UI structure. But the very important thing is our component library for the Trailbog applications. Why is this important? Because we have a centralized component library in React that used inside the Next.js to ensure the consistency of across using various Trailbog applications. We are not using only the websites. We are having a lots of mechanical tool like tool for engineering, and IoT devices also have, but right now we are not using those content for the IoT devices. Also, the headless implementation gave us lots of flexibility and scalability, API first approach, and the faster development. Also, we want to use all the benefits associated with the headless architecture, like we can personalize SEO optimizations. Also, it should be the future proof for our website. So about the challenges, what we have faced.
So before moving to, so we had all our sites built using SXA. Right? So and these multiple sites which we have around 10 to 15 sites, including sites as well as microsites, which has a lot of content. Now, as Nadeem pointed out, we wanted to improve our UI architecture. So at this juncture, we wanted to know which path we should take. So I think at the same time, the headless also became very popular, and we thought that, okay, we'll move into the headless architecture. But since we had invested a lot in SXA, we did not know how to. So it's not only building the sites, it's also about migrating the content, right, from SXA to any headless implementation. So 2 years back, we had JSS, but we did not go into that path because we did not know how to migrate seamlessly the content from SXA to JSS. And we did not have any bandwidth to scrap everything which we have done in SXA and start building with JSS and then migrate the content. And one of our constraints which we have is we wanted to migrate the sites gradually one by one. We did not want to do a big bang where we stop everything on SXA and start with a headless implementation. Minimal effort to the editors. Say 3 years back, we had migrated, or 3 or 4 years back, we have migrated all the content from Sitecore 8.2 to a new implementation in Sitecore 9.2. So at that time, the editors needed to do manual work, as well as we also had some automated content. Right? So this migration tasks were very huge, and it took a lot of time. So this time, we were trying to find a way by which we can minimize the work for the editors. The other option or consideration is like we wanted to work on the existing SXA website, giving like the change request or new features and deploying it while working with the headless implementation. Yeah, then one more thing is we considered is the future proofing of the tech stack, because we know that at some point, we also know that maybe we might migrate to XM Cloud. But so for that, we want to make sure that we build the components using Next.js, right? When we are developing in headless. Two other things which is important for this particular project which we have done is we are staying on premise for now, and we are not using XDB extensively.
From where we get those all idea about those roadmap for the migrations. Can you please switch the slides? Yeah, so in 2022, Sitecore Symposium, Sitecore release with the headless solutions, and they'll introduce the Headless SXA component later. So Headless SXA component enable us to model the content into a JSON path. So what happened here, like we get those idea like we can use a SXA and Headless SXA existing together in one instance. So after that, the Sitecore released the headless version of existing SXA framework. Then on the base of the existing Sitecore headless framework, we can create a new headless tenant site. And inside the new headless tenant site, we have created our subsites. So for the headless site, it's like non-headless one. So how we migrate this? So first of all, we are on a 9.2, then we migrated to 10.3, Then later we have the structure like this, like we have SXA MVC site. In there we have a shared site, where the shared site, we have a shared component sharing for all the 9 sites. So similar to that, we wanted to create a structure to the headless tenant, which can be shared the site, and the shared site shared all our SXA component. Like we have more than 30 SXA component that can be shared for the other headless SXA tenant. So similar like this. But doing this, what we need some kind of effective strategies for the data migration. Like we need a source, we need a target where we wanted to migrate the presentation and all. But how to migrate the presentation detail means migrating the presentation detail, like we have deserialize or serialize. Also, we want to copy presentation detail like layout, rendering, and placeholder manually. But copy the XML presentation on a layout and rendering from one item and insert to another item. This method only works if you have the source and target environment, the same layout and rendering. Without that, you can't do this. So mitigating this problem, we have created a solution for our team, and my friend Sreesh will talk about this.
Here, what we have done is, as Nadeem told, we were on 9.2 1 year back. So we saw that in 10.3, both SXA and Headless SXA can stay together. So what we did is that we upgraded from 9.2 to 10.2, and we are on 10.3. So in 10.3, we can have SXA MVC as well as SXA Headless tenant on the same site. So the idea is to bring a site from SXA MVC to Headless. But while doing this, we should take care of the data as well as presentation. And so this approach, it will allow us to migrate. If it's successful, then it will allow us to migrate the content step by step or site by site. We need not wait. We need not do it big bang. We can migrate site A first, then the editors can check it. Then we can go live with it with the headless site. Then we can move the site B. So it will be a incremental process. It's not like in one shot we are going to change all the websites to headless. So next we'll show a demo of it. So here, this is 10.3.1, the version of SiteCore, and here we have a SXA MVC tenant with one shared site where all the components are built, and we have a demo site. So all the renderings are created in the shared site. Same way, we have a headless site in which we have a shared site where we'll be creating the same components as using Headless SXA. And we also have a demo site. If you see this demo site here, in that we have multiple pages, and here you'll find each page has data source. It has like page data source. It also has a data source which is present in site data. So if you go through, these are the pages in MVC SXA site. These are, it's a page with 2 cards. Here, if you see, the name of the component is GME. We use a term, generic media element, that's why it's GME. And here you can see it's the default variant. And here we have the same GME with a different rendering variant, image right. Image right, I couldn't do it. My friend Ricardo, who is the UI developer, is too busy. So I was only able to do the switch places of services and the text. Just switched it. But actually it should be image. It's just to show that it's a different variant. Right? And then you know that there are multiple out of the box component present in SXA. So here the page is created with a column splitter. In that column splitter, we had two cards. And while talking about SXA, we should not forget about page and partial designs. So this page is created with a partial design. So this banner, you can't change it. You can't select it because it's a partial design. Only you can change the content. And these two items here are just two card items which are added directly to the page. And this is a little bit, the third services page, it's a little bit more complex page where you can see that there is this card, and on the card is present. If you see the hierarchy here, you have the card which is in one row. That row is in the row splitter. This row splitter is present inside a column splitter, and then there is a column splitter. So it's little bit complex layout of the page, right? So these are the different pages on the SXA MVC. And if I go back to headless site, we have a shared site, and we have already created the components. Whatever component is there on SXA, we have created a duplicate component, or which uses the similar type of data source in headless. And in this case, I'll just delete. It has some pages now because I have run the script earlier. So I just, one second. So in this demo, yeah. So it's having just only the home page. There is nothing else, and it's empty. So I'll run. Yeah. So here, if I go, this is the MVC SXA site. With all those pages, which is published, and this one is the headless site, and it's running in localhost. It doesn't have any content. So now if I go here and run this custom PowerShell script, here I can choose the MVC site, that is the demo site, and the headless one. So if you see here, it copied all the content. So from the root, as well as if you have any data sources in site data, that also will get copied. Now I'm going to publish this site. So what we have done is let it publish. We'll go back to our presentation. So what we have done here is, like, we have the SXA MVC site and we have the header site. We are just copying all the pages from MVC to headless. And so child items from home. And if there are any items in the data where when you create data sources, maybe you create under the local, or you create it in the global, or maybe you will also create it under site data. So all these are getting copied by the PowerShell script. And So when we copy like this, we have data sources under page data, then the media is there. So media, there is no need to copy because it's just the reference, right? And then the data sources under site data, it gets copied to headless. So there is a problem with internal links, and there could also be a problem with a data source that is present in the site data. So in order to solve this, to put the correct links, because all the items which are created in the headless, these are new items. So the references needs to be changed, right? So in order to do this, we checked the clone site of this function, which is already present in SXA. You can clone the site, right? When you clone the site, it's cloning or creating a copy of a particular site and bringing it to a new site. So in this also, we had to take care, or the script take care of all the paths, the URLs, as well as if the data source is in the site data, it automatically changes the path. So we just check this clone site functionality, and we saw that there is a method called set new link reference. This does that job. So we just use this method. When we first we copy all the content, then we run on that new site. So it has two parameters. One is the old site and new site. So what happens is it automatically iterates through all the pages and finds out the correct reference of the links as well as the data sources and change the path. So our data problem was solved in this way. So once it's same like cloning, right? So with set new link reference, all the data sources and the links were correct. Now let's go and see if we have published the site. See, we have this is the headless site, right? So once the PowerShell script runs, it copies. So here we can check. So this has two cards, and here we have two cards, and you can see the rendering variant is also intact. So this is a headless site. Here we are using headless component. And if you go to About Us, which has a column splitter, that also get copied correctly. And the product page, which has a page and partial design, that is also transformed into headless. And the services page, which is has multiple nestings with a row splitter inside a column splitter, it also get transformed in a correct way. So let's see how. So we have two parts, right? One is the data sources, one is the renderings. Data sources we have seen earlier. We copy it, we run the script, and we use that method which is already present in clone functionality. We were able to solve it. Now let's see how these renderings are copied from headless to MVC SXA to headless SXA, and we are getting the same components, right? So we'll go back to the presentation. Okay. So when building, so what are the things which we need to take care? If you want to automatically migrate a SXA MVC component into headless SXA component, what are the things which we need to do? So build the SXA components with the same data source. So same template. Whatever template you have used for MVC, don't change the template. Use the same template for building SXA headless components. Then use PowerShell scripts to transform SXA MVC in renderings into SXA headless renderings. This will have a look in detail. Then the same script, it will work on language versions as well, because we have two fields which has the rendering information. One is renderings and final renderings, right? So if these two, the content from these two fields can be transformed, or if we can iterate through the renderings and attach the correct rendering components ID, then you can automatically change into headless. So this we'll see in detail. See, in a presentation, what are the different things, or what are the important things? One is layout. We have renderings and final renderings. Then we have placeholders. We have grid. In SXA, we have the grid system. We have SXA styles. Then page and partial designs. And see, if somebody is building with SXA search results, so that also will be present, right, in your site. Now, let's first see the renderings field. So you can see the first section. It is MVC rendering field, and you have the layout ID. Now, if you take this layout ID and replace it with headless JSS layout, what happens is your page layout will change. And in the original MVC, you'll get a header. Say this is like a default. In your implementation, you will have a lot of placeholders. But if you are having a default implementation, you have, by default, you'll get header, main, and footer. And when you're changing the layout, what happens is the placeholder will change to headless ones: headless header, headless main, and headless footer. Right now, all your components will disappear, and it also will not be able to work because the final renderings layout is not proper and it's not a headless component, right? So let's see how the final renderings you can change. In final renderings, I have taken the example of promo component. In promo component, if you see, so this, if you add a promo component to a placeholder and check its rendering information, so you'll find this. Right? So it has so here whatever I have marked or in a different color, these are the different. These are going to change. Your ID is not going to change. Your data source ID is not going to change because it's the same data. Right? You are copying from headless, and then you have your so if your data source is local, then it's not going to change. But if you have a data source somewhere else, then in the earlier script when you run, that would have been taken care. Then the ID, which is in yellow color, that is the rendering layout ID. So if you check here, you can see the rendering layout IDs of the promo component in SXA is this path, right? So what we need to do is we have to find your new headless components path, take that ID and replace it here. You can use PowerShell script to go to your rendering, get each of the item, rendering as well as rendering parameters. You can iterate through it and you can just replace it. So rendering layout ID will change. Then rendering variant. Rendering variant is like when you are creating a SXA, you have default like image right, image left. We are giving different rendering variants, right? So you have to do a mapping. You should know about your component and you have to do a mapping between your SXA MVC component and SXA headless component. Then run the PowerShell script. So each place where you're finding this SXA MVC, you have to find what is the corresponding SXA headless component ID and replace it. So same way, rendering layout ID and rendering variant ID, you have to replace. And the placeholder also you have to replace. Because you have seen in the earlier slide, for SXA, it is main header footer, but it will change for SXA headless. Now, this is the mapping. So rendering unique ID, there is no change. Device ID, there is no change. Data source, no change in your layout. But rendering layout ID of the default promo component, map it to headless. Same way, placeholder is main. When you change it, map it to headless main. Grid parameters, in this grid parameters, there are multiple things, right? So in grid parameters, rendering variant, So rendering variant will be present in grid parameters. So you have to find what is the rendering variant ID. You have to map it. So if you have multiple things, then you have to map styles. You will be using styles in SXA. There is no need to change. And dynamic placeholder ID. So dynamic placeholder ID decides in which position all these components are present, right? So all these things need not change. The only thing you have to change is what is highlighted. If you do this and write a PowerShell script and do this change, so the process which we have seen earlier, it's like we are iterating through each pages. For each page, find out what is the rendering and find what is the mapping with the headless. Take that ID, replace it with the headless ID, and then save it. So in when you're migrating the presentation, it's the same. Say we have page and partial designs. So you have to build in headless, create a new page and partial design, and then you have to just assign the template to the specific design. So in your new headless implementation, you can create similar page and partial designs, and only thing you'll have to do is just assign the template with the new page or partial design. The template is already the existing template. Whatever you had, we are not changing the template. Only thing you'll do is you'll be creating a new page design and a new partial design, and you associate it in the presentation, and it will be automatically when you do this migration, you'll see that there is nothing else to do. Since the data is there, it just shows up with the new your headless page and partial design. SXA search results, we don't have, I mean, there are no SXA search results in headless, right? So you will have to do your own implementation. And then if you have a component present, if you have created a component for SXA search results, then might be it's using the native Solar, or maybe you are using Sitecore search, but you will have a component, right? You'll be, if while running the script, only thing you'll have to see is take this search component from SXA, then find out what is the ID of the rendering, replace it with the headless rendering, publish, then it should work. Yeah, so these are the things which we have to take care. One is we should be in a version where SXA, MVC SXA and Headless SXA can work together or stay together. Next thing you'll have to do is develop the SXA components using the same templates. Then migrate your data sources, migrate presentation and map them to your headless component. And only thing you have to check is, see, now the default page you have is the layout will be MVC layout. When an editor creates a new page, you just need to make sure that that layout is changed to headless. Maybe you can write a pipeline or some functionality you can do so that these new pages can be in only in the headless site. Only in the headless site, when you create a new page, you have to just make sure that the layout changes to headless. So by this, what we have achieved is, now for us, we have started building headless components in the same instance and with the same code repository. So there is no change, right? All the people who are working for the previous MVC products, fixing the bugs, or if the business wants a new feature or an, something new to be created or some changes to be done, this can be done in the same code repository. So we are just, so all these items are controlled by, we are using unicorns. So headless tenant and the headless shared site, it's also controlled by unicorn. So when we deploy each of these headless items as well as the code, the renderings, or the layouts, everything is also present in our live site. So the idea would be, we can run this on our script. So whenever the components are ready, so what we are doing is, we are starting to do this for the microsites first, because they have less number of components, right? So we are building headless components for the microsites, and then we are deploying the code. Once we do that, we can run the script and just bring everything, publish it, and give a different URL, so that the editors can test it out. They can verify whether the site is working good. If it is not, then we can, as I showed you, we can again delete. Maybe after 2 days, if something needs to be fixed, right? They found some bug, something needs to be, we can fix it and run the script again. So this MVC site and SXA site can be checked side by side, right? And once we worked with one side, the migration is complete, then we can start with the other side. So slowly we'll take the headless or SXA site, bring it to headless one by one. And in the end, once we do all the migration, then we can just take away this, delete all the sites which are in MVC. Only main thing we had to check is the templates. We had to make sure that we are not deleting it. So this is how we are planning to do it. So the script is working good, and yeah. So with this implementation, or with this way, there is no need to stop MVC working on MVC and then jump to headless. So we can work in both and do the migration side by side in a gradual way. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Have you considered open sourcing the migration scripts for the community?
Yeah, we'll be writing a blog with each steps, because the scripts itself, it's like we are using the data source. It's specific, right? I mean, the way to do it, we'll be writing a blog and publishing it. But we'll not be able to use directly the scripts, because there is a mapping. There will be IDs which has our SXA component IDs and the new SXA headless IDs. So you can't directly run it, but yeah. Yeah, we'll post all the steps which we have done, and then we'll publish it, so that anybody can use this method to gradually migrate. We have not fully migrated, but we have integration with our PIM systems. So we have certain products which we are bringing from our PIM system into Sitecore and publishing it. So that also will be, since we are on premise and not going to XM Cloud, our customization will work, and whatever product list pages or product detail pages which are developed with page or partial designs, that can be moved into headless. The benefit is, yeah, so we didn't want to see, we don't have the resources to stop the MVC and start building everything from scratch in headless. So we wanted a way to migrate the sites gradually, one by one. So that's why we took this path, so that there is no disruption in our day-to-day work, right? So a 2-member team can work on, say, or a 3-member team can work on headless site, like building these new components, which uses the same template as MVC. And when we deploy, it will be in the same code. You can test it. There is no breaking one and starting with another, or stopping one and starting with another. The another benefit is, like, the migration, we are not involving editors. So all this migration, it's automatic. So the editors need not do any task. So otherwise, what will happen is, if you are building a new, this method, I think maybe it can also be used for XM Cloud if you are migrating the data, right? I'm not familiar with XM Cloud, but any other system also you can do it. You migrate the data, then you find the rendering and change the renderings, because it can be done any place. The benefit of this is there is no disruptive, it's not a disruptive approach. It's like a incremental approach.
And also, I wanted to add one thing. We have a consolidated UI system, and we have a for the Next.js, we are creating a full component system, which can be not only used for our websites, which can also use for our mechanical apps. We have more than 15 apps for the mechanical, like marines and aeronautics.
Right? Tools for engineers. So these are all. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to use this headless implementation, but Ricardo is building a new component library in React, and then we are using so this React app is used in Sidecore is one CMS application, but we have multiple applications. So we want this to be used in multiple places.
So same headless component we can use in the different applications. So otherwise we are creating two different headless component. For one is Sidecore and one for the other applications. So now we have a new library which is called RIA, right, Ricardo? Yeah. So that's what we have built. So he's Ricardo and he is our front-end developer for the team. Any other
questions?
Yeah, we saw a significant, really good performance improvement with the headless. So yeah. Anything else? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.